Hey y'all, it's Isaiah again, and after taking a bit of a break these past few weeks, we're back in it to talk about all things weather. And we've got a really interesting and just unusual weather pattern for this week in the summer, so without further ado, here we go, let's jump in. A rather rare July weather pattern is setting up across much of the central and eastern US as a large trough of low pressure carves out and digs in, extending from the Great Lakes toward Texas. This brings numerous days on end of cooler weather, which we've already been enjoying for some, as well as some needed rain to areas plagued recently by drought. And even better, we've got a bit of a breather from severe weather ahead after what's been a generally active July season. So I'm Isaiah, and this is weather for the week of July 21st, 2024. Alright, here's our setup that we've got, and it all revolves around this big trough developing across the eastern to central US. Here it is, look at this huge dip in the jet stream with these cooler colors here with all these areas of lower pressure, and this extends pretty far south, all the way down toward Texas up to the northeast. This will split the ridge of high pressure that's usually so dominant in the summertime across the country and confine it just to the west coast, and ultimately this will translate to cooler and wetter weather expected across a large portion of the country. Considering for many areas we're getting into the hottest days of summer now, the cooling weather pattern change is pretty great, and we can enjoy many days without any heat risk from really the Rockies all the way up to the East Coast. So here we go with those temperatures, starting with the temperature anomalies, how far below or above average temperatures are, and it's all these blue areas that we have the below average temperatures extending over a pretty vast and far area. I mean, just look at how many people are seeing these relatively cooler temperatures, and it's not just for a day or two. Some areas may see these persistent cooling temperatures for the whole upcoming week, especially towards the south. What this translates to temperature-wise is 80s for highs, really anywhere from the plains eastward, with Florida and perhaps parts of the east at times being the only exception. So enjoy these 70s to 80s from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast and Central Plains. And again, it's not just for one day, but a whole week of these cooler temperatures staying, with none of the 90s and 100s that we've been dealing with a lot recently. Mornings are running nice and crisp in the 60s for many, and 70s closer to the Gulf Coast, but the humidity will stay relatively manageable, which is pretty nice. So in summary, I think the heat risk maps here for the week shows it all. Look at this whole area only in the yellow minor heat risk stage for many days on end of the week, and really the only heat risk we have is confined out west with some of the warmer orange, red, and purple colors. Just weeks ago we had these major to extreme red and purple colors all over the place across the US, so this break ahead with large portions of the country staying out of the heat risk, there's gonna be some really great relief ahead. Out west, unfortunately, y'all are staying pretty warm under the ridge while the rest of us enjoy the cooler air, and 90s to 100s will be common from California and even up north towards Washington State and areas near that. Heat alerts will likely continue for a bit, so we know the drill by now. Continue to stay cool, safe, don't underestimate the heat, especially as we consider how persistent and long lasting this heat has just been. Okay, the other side to our weather pattern is the rain chances ahead. First off, our severe weather threat is very low for the foreseeable future, so the whole country can kind of take a breather after some active severe weather recently. Again, it's been a pretty busy severe weather season for July. We've had pockets or days of severe weather outbreaks. We had tornado outbreaks with Hurricane Beryl, we've had some derechos up north, and some tornado damaging wind outbreaks up there, so this will be the first truly quiet pattern we've had in quite a while. Here's a Storm Prediction Center outlook the next few days, and notice how empty it is. We at most only have a marginal area in this dark green shade of severe weather here or there, but no widespread organized severe weather is expected anywhere in the country for at least the next 3 days and possibly the next week. That being said, we still do have a large area of rain chances. It's just going to be mainly in the form of garden variety thunderstorms and not severe weather. The heaviest, most widespread, and persistent rain will stay down south from Texas to states near the Gulf Coast, as we have a stellar cold front interacting with upper level energy and plentiful of summertime moisture. But notice in our models, we've still got the action further north, so we do still expect rain, just not as persistent or over as many days. We'll probably see one batch of rain from the mid-Atlantic to the northeast early week, then another batch coming in from Canada to the northern plains and Midwest by midweek. East Coast then could get more action late week as more moisture streams north, but again, it's more scattered in nature. And this is summertime, so rain chances are always going to be a bit messy to track, but again, the trend is areas further south from Texas to along the Gulf Coast to see the most widespread daily rain chances, and then areas northward, say north of Tennessee, still looking at rain, but coming in more in batches and not as persistent every day. This is reflected well in our 7-day rainfall totals, as we see this corridor of heavy rain along the south as daily storm chances add up through the week, and lesser but still meaningful amounts expected further north. Impacts wise, this is really good stuff, especially for July, which is traditionally a drier month across the country. So here's the latest drought monitor, and notice that lots of areas in the southeast to mid-Atlantic are suffering from dry conditions, and these are the areas that a lot of rain are going to fall, so it's going to be really beneficial. The problem is always when we get too much rain at once, and especially down south with the rain possible every day, flooding concerns could escalate towards the week's end. Here's our excessive rainfall outlooks for now, and actually Texas will be most under the gun with some heavy downpours possible to add up there every day, especially those in the yellow slight risk category here needing to watch out, but this marginal risk extends pretty far all the way to the east coast, and so we'll keep an eye on things as we go through the week and see how much rain will actually verify. And just briefly, let's take a weather pattern past this week to the future to see what we can expect further downstream as we head toward early August. Here's this week's pattern in the upper level wind field, and we can pretty clearly see this big heat ridge, the dome of high pressure out here in the west with this clockwise spin, but again it stays out west. And notice this big chopping and dip in the jet stream here, allowing the cooler air to spill down and bringing the energy for the rain chances. Later in the week though, our jet stream will try to stabilize itself and looks to flatten out, so the trough where retreat away and ridging takes over lots of the southern country with a more flatter jet stream. This will probably bring back our more typical hot summertime temperatures, so unfortunately 90s and 100s will probably be returning, but right now this ridge doesn't strike me as anything too crazy or too powerful as we've seen recently this past summer, so that's good, and hopefully we'll keep temperatures somewhat in check. So there's all that's happening in our world of weather for the upcoming week. I hope everyone can enjoy the cooler weather and the scattered rain, and let's get in a good drink to the soil and help chip away at our drought, hopefully with limited flooding concerns. And of course, it's fantastic news that we get a big breather from the severe weather, at least for a bit. As always, stay tuned ahead for the latest weather developments. Now that I'm back in the saddle, I'm definitely going to try to keep updates and videos a bit more consistent, maybe having a longer video consistently on Sunday or Monday to just give an overview of the weather for the week ahead, then sporadic shorter videos to cover specific weather events as they happen, but we'll see what ends up happening. So thanks for watching again, and stay safe out there in the world of weather.